Reviewing these earphones was never really part of my plan, but then you guys, at least the majority of you, voted for this review on my community poll. So here we have the in-depth review of the LG Tone FP5. Hey guys, and welcome back. Now, I didn't go into this review expecting too much from these earphones because these are being discounted as much as 15,000 from their MRP. But if you are interested in a good set of earphones at a good price, these could just be for you. So let's jump in with their build. I don't usually mention unboxing experiences on my videos, but this one in particular was really bad. I've unboxed earphones and headphones anywhere between 1000 to 1 lakh rupees, and these are somewhere between the 1 to 2000 rupee experience. Honestly, if I went to the store to buy these and saw them for 20,000 rupees, I wouldn't buy them basis the box alone. Moving on to the case, it has a soft, grippy, rubbery feel which does seem upmarket and won't easily slip out of your hand. It's got a fairly small footprint and only has a USB-C charging slot at the rear of the case. No pairing or reset button. When you open the case, you're greeted with an LED that sits just under the lid, and the earphones are ready and waiting to be plucked out. The closing of the case has one of the softest clasping sounds I've heard from any case. It's more of a clasp than a snap. After opening the case, you'll see a print that says with Meridian, letting you know these have been tuned by none other than Meridian Audio from the United Kingdom. And usually anything British and audio related is always a terrific pairing, which got my hopes up for these. The earphones have a similar looking finish to the case, but it's just a matte color which doesn't have as much traction as the case, making the earphones a little slippery to hold. The stem has a glossy finish and is the shortest one I've seen in the recent past, and the ear tips that come with these may be the softest ones I've ever felt. One thing that bothers me about the finish on the earphones is the tiny gap between the glossy panel on the stem and the housing. It's not much of a gap, but big enough to let dust get stuck there, which I have to keep cleaning out. These do come with an ingress level of IPX4, so I'm not too concerned about dust or water entering the chamber. It's just the way it looks with dust stuck there that bothers me. These come with Bluetooth version 5.2, quick pairing, USB-C fast charging, ANC and ENC to name a few. Autoplay and pause does occur whenever you put the earphones into your ears or take them out, and thankfully you can choose to have this feature left on or put off. Majority of this earphones features you'll find in its app, which is available on the App Store or Google Store. It will show you the different EQ settings you can switch between, which I'll speak about in the chapter about sound. You can control your ANC setting by switching between different profiles and even ambient mode. They've included a manual in the app in case you'd want to familiarize yourself with the touch controls which these have. Sadly, there is no slide control for volume, but thankfully you can customize these taps and touches to include a volume up or down. You do have a touchpad lock in case you don't want any accidental taps getting registered, which I use while I'm winding down at the end of the day. You can update the software of the earphones through this app as well. Should you want to have voice alerts read out to you like SMSs, you can enable this feature in the app. I don't want my media consumption to be disrupted by this, so never use it. You have a game mode that can improve audio latency and a whispering mode for calls, which I'll try in the call quality chapter. Find My Earbuds is a neat feature you can use in case you've misplaced your earphones within Bluetooth range. It lets out a soft chime so you can locate it if it's gone under a pillow or sofa. Something I've come to really like about these is how it acknowledges any inputs. Every time you tap the earphones or change ANC modes, it lets off a very soft and sweet sounding chime to let you know it's registered what you've done. It's a very pleasant tone they've chosen for delivering this acknowledgement. These do support multi-device pairing but not simultaneous pairing. You can toggle between devices connecting to these via those devices' Bluetooth settings. It would have been nice if these could switch between two devices like the OnePlus Buds Z2 or even the Realme Buds Air 3, but on LG's website they claim that you can connect up to 5 devices, which is a big number. The ANC does have some good support from how well these isolate. LG claims they have used medical grade ear gels, which could explain why they're as soft as they are. You can toggle between high and low ANC profiles in the app. Low lets in a lot more mid frequencies and I can hear a lot more engines from outside my studio, but when it's set to high, all I can hear are my fan blades whooshing above me. The mics do pick up a little bit of wind noises from the fan, but do fairly well. These do manage to drop droning sounds by quite a bit, and I can see people switching this on without music just for some peace and quiet. Then you can select the ambient sound mode, which has a listening mode which lets in the audio all around you while you're listening to music or not. And you can switch over to conversation mode, which will let in more mid frequencies so you can converse with someone near you without removing your earbud. And when it comes to the environmental noise cancelling, LG claims that these earphones have 3 microphones per earphone, and they are supposed to help reduce all the environmental noise for those phone calls you take. And there really is only one way to test this out.
I'm standing at the usual busy street where I come and do a lot of these call tests so that you get an idea of how much noise that these earphones are going to be battling. So today in particular it is quite busy. There's a lot of vehicle activity. There is some construction work going on behind me. I'll try and wrap this up as fast as I can because it looks like it's going to start raining. So right now I've been on the camera audio, so you get the sense of the amount of noise that these earphones are going to be battling. And I will switch over to the LG tone-free microphones ENC right about
now. And just for your reference, I have right now got these earphones on their high ANC mode, and I'll toggle between the few ANC settings because there are times when the AI that's trying to govern all these noises does tend to slip up with some earphones. So it'll be interesting to see if it does it with this. So now I am in the LG tone-free app, and my ANC is on high, as I said. I'll switch over to low. I do hear a slight shift in the ANC, but I'm not sure if you are the recipient right now, so you'll be able to tell whether or not there has been a shift in the ANC, whether you can hear more of the traffic around me. Now I'm shifting over to off. So now it's just the passive isolation to ear tips and earphones, so there is a bit more noise coming in, of course. I'll shift over to the ambient sound mode now, which is by default at the moment on listening mode. So I can hear what's going on around me. So this is ideal to use if you're going on a walk and you want to make sure that there's no traffic that's coming close to you or somebody's honking and you need your attention over there. And now I'm shifting over to the conversation mode, which lets in a lot more mid frequency. So I can, a lot of this is really amplified, but this is ideal for when you want to talk to somebody. So I am shifting over back onto noise cancelling and putting it onto high, because with the amount of noise that's going on that this was letting in, I can't hear myself think. So one other interesting thing this does have is when you go into the tone-free lab on the app, it has game mode and whispering mode. So now whispering mode, I've never tried this out before, but I'll try it out right now with you guys. The only situations I see you being able to use whispering mode is maybe if you're in the middle of a meeting somewhere and you have to take a call and whisper into the earpiece. So now once this is switched on, it says it works best when it's closest to your mouth, and it works specifically at the right earbud. So I'm going to be switching on the whispering mode now, which is on, and I'm going to lower the register of the volume I'm talking at. So I'm talking straight into the microphone right now. And I don't know if you're going to be able to hear me as clearly while I'm sort of whispering into this. Let's say I was in a meeting and there's some sort of PA system on, or even right now if you're outside somewhere, I don't see you having to whisper when you're in this kind of setting. But this is your ideal demo sample. So I'll switch this off now. Whispering mode is off, and I am still on high ANC mode. So this should give you an example of exactly how good or bad these earphones are. Like I mentioned, they did say this has 3 microphones per earphone, so I'm hoping it does sound pretty good. How it stands up to the JBLs that I've reviewed and nothing's in the past, I'll only have to see in an upcoming video perhaps as their demo samples. And I do hope this has helped to make some sort of decision or understand these earphones a bit better. And of course, I will see you back at the studio.
did expect these earphones to support aptX and LDAC codecs, considering the MRP was 3 to 4 times that of what I paid for them. But sadly, these only support SBC and AAC codecs. This does come with a dynamic driver and it measures in at only 8mm, but LG and Meridian Audio have done a terrific job with tuning these. Now, usually I only test earphones straight out of the box, especially when it comes to their sound. But these earphones in particular, straight out of the box, they sounded like there was no effort put in them. In fact, they sounded much like a set of earphones would sound if an appliance company had put them together. I decided to toggle between some of the EQ settings to see what worked out and what didn't, and I decided to test these earphones solely on their natural EQ mode because that was the most balanced mode. There is no way I feel that anybody is going to want to listen to these earphones the way they sound straight out of the box, because the amping is almost, well, it's insignificant compared to what the Meridian audio tuning has done. The amping is so low that even if it's cranked up to 90% volume, maybe it's equal to 50-40% of other earphones that I've tested. So the sound straight out of the box is an absolute no-go for me. So speaking about volume, when it comes to the straight out of the box mode or its absolute flat mode, it was too thin. There was no way that you could really enjoy this. So I did switch on to the natural mode, and I found that listening to these at 35 to even 40-45% was more than adequate. If you want to go above even 50%, I'd remind you that you don't want to damage your hearing. You can head all the way down to 5 to 10% and you don't even lose sub-low frequencies, which is normally expected. So these will be fine playing back at low volumes for you if you want to consume media while slowing down at the end of the day. Soundstage with these is quite interesting, especially considering they're wireless. With some good recordings, these have a bit of width, depth, and even height. The width sits maybe a few out of your ears. The depth sits between the middle of your head to your nose, and the height between your lips and your eyebrows. This elliptical cylinder of stage I've never heard with any wireless earphones, or at least haven't spent enough time with some higher end ones to be able to notice staging like this from them. It's impressive. When it comes to the imaging, I don't think I've heard a set of earphones in the sub 10K range that image as well as these do. With most earphones, you have to focus in on what you want to listen to be able to lock into what you want to focus on to enjoy it. Not these. You can focus in on anything from the vocals, then jump over to the guitars, then jump over onto percussion, wherever you want to enjoy whatever nuances you'd like to. These do a great job over here. High frequencies come at you in a subtle approach and stay away from being fatiguing. They aren't tweaked too high, so don't pierce the ear when listening to audio that has a lot of high registers. So don't expect any EDM tracks to hurt your ears over longer listening sessions. They almost sound a bit muted instead of being shrill, making these much easier to consume these frequencies. Listening to Fleetwood Mac's Dreams, there's a constant hi-hat hit through the track, which can be a bit on the distracting side with some earphones. But these keep that controlled and easy on the ears by keeping it slightly further back in the distance, thanks to how they slightly mute this range. Mid frequencies do sit slightly in a recessed plane, but they don't sound like their volume has been reduced. Rather, they sit slightly in the distance. Vocals and instruments that sit in this range come at you effortlessly with detail, and thanks to how well these image, it complements how easy it is to enjoy any music with harmonies. Listening to Dream Theater's Pull Me Under, the intro that has the drumming sequence could have been more present as it seems a little too pushed away. But when the vocals come in, they are a lot more forward than the drums, making vocals that much clearer than percussion or other instruments. Low frequencies can be very composed, but they can also be that loud drunk at a family gathering. With older rock, metal or acoustic recordings, they come at you in an easygoing and balanced way. No stress, no drama, and remain really enjoyable since it gives these recordings a nice rounded sound and body to otherwise thin recordings. But when you shift over to something heavier like newer EDM, the bass can get a bit obnoxious but remembers to keep its manners in check. It's able to maintain some level of composure despite having significantly boosted sub-low frequencies. Despite being this exaggerated, it doesn't interfere too much with the mid frequencies. Listening to Dr. Rocket's Cafe de Flore made me realize that I haven't tested any earphones that are this bass happy, and if you're a bass enthusiast, this will certainly put a wide grin on your face while listening to these. These have the body of a much larger driver and even perhaps a headphone kind of sound to them, and some people may consider these to be a bit on the boomy side. Moving on to their EQ modes. Now, I did mention that I haven't tested these straight out of the box in their flat mode, because it's just absolutely boring and I don't think anybody will listen to them. I did listen to this on the natural EQ mode. It does add a little bit of color, but seems to be the most balanced sounding EQ of the lot. You can switch to the immersive mode, which tends to widen the field of audio, so your phantom channel also does sound wider. It's interesting, but the audio does get a bit thinner. Switching over to bass boost mode, funnily enough, doesn't enhance the bass. Rather, it reduces the highs and mids to make the bass more prominent. The overall amping does drop with this mode. Treble boost mode tweaks the highs a little more, making them a bit more prominent and still stay clear of getting shrill. It stays soft but does get better defined compared to the bass boost mode. The amping stays much the same as it was in the bass boost mode here. When you switch over to the 3D soundstage mode, it gives the audio a lot more expanse with maintaining a heavy dose of bass. It seems to have a similar amping to the natural and immersive modes and will be appreciated while gaming and movie consumption. Custom EQ offers up to 8 bands of tuning. You can either add 5 dB or reduce 5 dB on each band. Neat to have, but the amping is lost completely here. I prefer using the natural EQ setting by Meridian. The build does definitely reflect this set of earphones MRP. It is a very nice finish. I've not really felt this kind of material on any other earphone. It's got a nice grippy feeling. It's not really felt like it's going to slip out of my hands. I have had cases in the past that feel like they'll slip and have in fact slipped. But this has a good amount of grip on it. Then the only thing that bothers me about the earphones is that slight gap that can be a pocket for dust. And then the other thing I like are the ear tips. They are superbly soft and very comfortable to wear. I have not felt any fatigue using these ear tips. Some ear tips from some brands tend to be slightly on the stiffer side. These are the absolute softest ear tips I've ever used, and I hope that other companies do adopt this kind of material as well. When it comes to the features, majority of this one's features are in the app. It's worthwhile going and exploring the app to see how you can really personalize these set of earphones for your own taste. Whether you want to switch off the play and pause feature, or whether you want to customize your own EQ or choose an inbuilt Meridian one. There are multiple things you can do with the app. It's genuinely very interesting. I do wish this did have a slide function for the volume, because that's the most convenient thing to have for volume in particular. But I guess it's not everybody thinks that it makes sense, so you do have your reservations from every company. When it comes to the call quality, I think you guys are the best judge. You should figure out whether this works for you or not. You have been the recipient in that specific setting in the demo. If you haven't seen it and you skipped to this part in the video, please feel free to just skip back to the call quality chapter. I have included a call demo in this video to let you know exactly how your recipients are going to hear you. A lot of you do want to know specifically how well a lot of earphones do. I'm not the best judge for it, because you obviously know how many calls you're taking, how many people you're talking to, and the environment you're in. So I do hope it's helped you in some sort of way understand these earphones a bit better. Now, when it comes to the sound, I did mention that I haven't reviewed these straight out of the box, purely because these things fall really flat. I've never seen a set of earphones that sounds this dull straight out of the box. I think even if you have a look at anything within the 2,000 or 3,000 rupee price range, they have a lot more character than these LGs do straight out of the box. The magic in these is the Meridian tuning, and nothing else really can sort of keep up to that. And the problem is, when I first listened to them out of the box, I did think that there was something wrong with the hardware. They sound that bad because the amping is terrible. It's like I mentioned, if you crank it up to even 90%, it isn't as loud as 90% should be. I mean, I don't listen to music loud at all. I usually don't like to go above 50% when listening to earphones. So the fact that I was shooting well past 50% told me that there was something wrong with these, which is the only reason why I jumped into the EQ settings. And clearly Meridian has checked that. They've made sure that these sound very good in their tuning. As for the choice that LG has made for keeping that absolute flat tuning straight out of the box, I think that's a very bad decision. They should have just had this on the natural mode straight out of the box and not given an option of having a flat mode. Likewise, even when you go into your custom settings, you sort of revert back to out of the box settings. It's flat, and yes, you can tune everything, but the minute you go into the custom tuning section, your amping again, it just falls flat. You can tune the earphones by that 5 dB plus minus, but again, you have to crank it way above what's recommended to be able to get any decent sound out of it. So I just recommend keeping it on one of those EQ settings that Meridian is set, and you'll definitely be happy with that. All in all, with that natural setting, I think it was really enjoyable. I enjoyed listening to a lot of music. It was good for older recordings, new recordings, you name it. The bass can be a bit heavy at times. I think some people might consider it to be a little too heavy or too boomy, but you've got your custom EQ that you can work with if you want to try that out. But the immersive setting and if you play around with the inbuilt ones, there are a bass reduction one. So even the bass boost EQ for that matter, it's not obnoxious. It doesn't have as much of a kick as the natural setting does, ironically speaking, but the way they've decided to tune it is very interesting. These are good fun to listen to with most genres of music, whether you're listening to rock or something heavy like metal or whatever else. EDM, of course, is good fun, but it is also good fun for some movies. And when it comes to movie watching, yes, there is a bit of a lag which is expected. You can go into the game mode to reduce the lag. These are a set of wireless earphones. You're bound to have a bit of lag anyway. LG has not specifically mentioned what kind of latency periods this has, but I presume it's around the 100 millisecond reaction time. Now, my overall impressions on these, I remember in my last comparison video, I did say that my JBLs are going to be replacing my Nothing Ear ones as my daily driver. But after listening to these, I think these are going to be replacing my JBLs as the daily driver. So that is technically my most short-lived long-term or daily driver use of any earphones. But I suppose I'll switch between the JBLs and these just to keep a track on them for future long-term reports. But these are really impressive for the price they're available at. And now speaking about price, now at the time of recording this video, the LGs are going for about 5,999. But I think a whole lot of sales will be coming up on Amazon and Flipkart. It's worthwhile keeping an eye on it because I think I have seen these as low as 4,999. So would I recommend these? I'd say absolutely yes, because these do feel like more of a premium product despite being sold at a much more affordable price in the market today. They're a nice compact set of earphones. It's a nice case. It'll fit easily in your pocket or any bag. Even the earphones are quite compact for that matter. The stems are really short. I think they're a bit shorter than the Nothing Ear ones, which are considered to be quite small. But these are very classy. They don't scream for attention. They're kind of the opposite of the Nothings that way. But I haven't had any glitches with them yet. I've not had any drop-offs. I've not had the app misbehaving like did happen with the JBL app for my 230NC. So all in all, I'd say these are a definite go for, especially if it's within your budget. So I hope I've helped you make some sort of purchase decision. And if you stayed this long, I'm sure you do like the content on my channel. And if you would like to support this channel, I'm sure you know exactly how to. But of course, thank you for tuning into Paul's POV for some sound advice.